What's going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar and welcome back to the P4G. This is going to be the first round of the playoffs. I'm super excited for the playoffs. I feel like towards the end of the season I didn't really show what I could really do in the P4G, so I'm really excited to get into playoffs, prep like as hard as I possibly can, and really perform well. Now, this week, in the first round of playoffs, we're fighting somebody who I'm really nervous to fight because the last time I played him, he brought a lot of things I didn't expect. He prepped really well, and I didn't have enough to break through his fat stuff. And that type of team, that worries me more than a straight-out offensive team. Like, that team would scare me more than a Lando T, Thundy T, Mega Lopunny, like a bunch of offensive threats practically. I would rather face that than I would face a really fat team that I can't break through. If you need a quick reminder of whatever my team is, I have Mega Medicham, Togekiss, Shaman, Dragonite, Rhyperior, Gengar, Electros, Qwilfish, Empoleon, Darmanitan, and Linoone. And my opponent that I'm facing has a Jirachi, Milotic, Weavile, Gligar, Mimikyu, Mega Garchomp, Swellow, Rotom Heat, Forretress, Meganium, and Girder. Now, a couple of things to note about his team. Mega Garchomp he has only brought 5 times. That's it, just 5 times. That's assuming he's filled in all of his sheets, which he has. So because of that, I was able to kind of sort of lack a little bit on my Mega Garchomp prep, which was really nice. But Jirachi, Milotic, Weavile are all really big threats for my team. Mimikyu was another really big threat. Swellow, Rotom Heat, and then so is Girder, believe it or not. He's really enjoyed using Girder this season, and he's used it really well. As you can see, it's 12-6. Like, it's one of the best members of his team outside of Milotic and Weavile. So it's super important to note, like, his play style. He really does enjoy bringing Forretress just for hazards and to spin them away. He also really likes the core of Milotic plus Gligar. He really does like that core against certain teams. Now, against my team, against the specific 6 that I'm bringing, I have a pretty big weakness to Mega Garchomp and Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat I'm a little bit less worried about because if I get up rocks and with my priority, with a bunch of just general chip damage, I'm able to easily wear it down, and that's pretty important. And against my team, I think he might have to bring like a Rotom Heat to try to switch into Shaman, to try to switch into Electros, to attempt to switch into Togekiss as well. So I could kind of see that coming, so I don't have to worry about too much of an offensive Rotom Heat. So that's really nice. Jirachi I'm a little bit worried of, but I do have some really good checks to it, and I also have some really good ways of beating it 1v1. So that's something that I'll have to get into a little bit later. But with that being said, let's just go ahead and start talking about the team that I'm bringing. Now, the first thing about his team that you'll notice, he has a team that is literally Mega Medicham food. Like, if you look at it, it's like High Jump Kick, Thunder Punch, Bullet Punch, Ice Punch, Ice Punch, Ice Punch, Ice Punch, High Jump Kick or Drain Punch, High Jump Kick or Drain Punch, Ice Punch, and then High Jump Kick or Drain Punch. So, like, with just those 4 moves, I can hit pretty much everything on his team for such good damage that I don't even have to worry about like trying to predict, because whenever it comes in, it'll do enough damage to where the next move will be able to kill it. Thunder Punch is there just to be able to 2-hit KO Flame Orb Milotic. If he is like lefties Milotic, Thunder Punch easily 2-hit KOs outside of a burn, like a Scald Burn. So that's really nice. Bullet Punch is there just for his more offensive mons. If you take a look at his more offensive mons, for example, Weavile specifically, Mimikyu, and Swellow, those 3, they do not appreciate taking bullet punches, and all 3 of them can either outspeed me or hit me with super effective priority. I don't like that, so because of that, I needed Bullet Punch. I absolutely needed Bullet Punch. I wish I didn't, so I could run Zen Headbutt for Girder. However, Drain Punch does a decent amount to Girder as it is. So ultimately, this thing is there just to be a mid to late game wall breaker or a late game cleaner depending on what he brings. If he doesn't bring anything that is fat enough to take a bullet punch, or he brings like really slow mons, this can be a very easy late game cleaner. Ice Punch is there just for Garchomp, well, Mega Garchomp, and then Gligar. It's super important that I have that. If I don't, I can be hardwalled out by Gligar. This can also break through every single one of his walls, quite literally every single one of his walls. So that's a really big reason why I needed Mega Medicham this game, especially for the way that I want to win this game. I really needed Mega Medicham. I needed it to be able to force in my Milotic, to be able to put a lot of pressure on it, because as you can see, I do have Darmanitan on the team. One of his best checks to Darmanitan is my Milotic. So if I can bring in my Milotic and pressure that thing, it's going to be very hard for him to keep it alive, so that way he's able to hardball that thing. But then let's go ahead and talk about this wall breaker. I'm bringing this wall breaker along with another late game cleaner. So the one thing that you guys are going to have to know about this team, everything on this team can either serve as a late game cleaner or a wall breaker depending on what he brings and what he has left in the game. So I can kind of sort of pick and choose how I want to clean up and wall break in the game once I see which 6 he's going to be bringing, which is super nice. I'm bringing a modest expert belt Dragonite with Hurricane, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, and Extreme Speed. I wish this thing got Air Slash, but it doesn't, so I have to run Hurricane. Hurricane is there pretty much exclusively for Girder. If I don't have a way to hit Girder and he bulks up on me, it could sweep through my entire team, and that's terrifying, especially since I don't have Zen Headbutt on my my Medicham, so I definitely needed to keep that around. I do have a couple of other checks to it, because if he's like bulk up, Drain Punch, and Mach Punch, he can then only choose Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Knock Off, and then my Medicham can wall it out a little bit, but not too much, and so can my Qwilfish. But I needed Hurricane just for that reason. Modest Expert Belt T-Bolt, 2-hit KOs, Fizdef Milotic, guaranteed no matter what. If he is a Spadef Milotic, then that means that he is not able to take 2 Thunder Punches even if he's burned with Marvel Scale. So that's kind of why I wanted this. It allows me to scout out his set super easily. And again, one of his best switch-ins to Dragonite is Milotic. The only other switch-in he has on his entire team, like he has Jirachi, but that can't switch in on like an Earthquake. So that he has to be careful with that. Milotic, again, really good switch-in. Weavile is not a switch-in. Gligar, as you saw, I do have Ice Beam. Mimikyu, I have Thunderbolt to be able to hit that. Weavile, it can't even switch in, but if it does, I do have E-Speed, and E-Speed does about 45 to 50% to it, guaranteed. Garchomp, if it's a really fat Garchomp, I will be able to outspeed it, and I can nuke it with an Ice Beam. Swallow can't switch in, and again, Extreme Speed does about 50% to that as well. Rotom Heat can switch into my set pretty well, believe it or not, so that's another reason why I really wanted that thing, because if he doesn't bring Fortress, then what I'm able to do is I'm able to get up rocks, and I'm able to force that thing in to take 25%, and then it's much easier for my team to clean up late game, so I do really like that. Fortress is not a switch-in, Meganium is not a switch-in, and neither is Girder. So that's kind of why I'm bringing this specific set. I really did want to bring Flamethrower. I really want to bring Flamethrower, but I don't know what to get rid of. Like, I want Hurricane for Girder. It also 2-hit KOs Fortress easily. It does a lot of damage to his team. However, with this set, Jirachi switches in really well, and Jirachi can actually pressure my team quite a lot, because my best switch into it is my Empoleon or my Electros if I decided to bring that. But unfortunately, if I give that thing too many free switch-ins and it's like a Calm Mind variant, I could be in trouble, especially if he's like Calm Mind Akaberry. So I do have to be very careful of that. So yeah, that does scare me. That scares me a lot, actually. Luckily, I do have this thing. It doesn't speed. I'm gonna make sure it speed ties with it, in case he's like offensive, like max speed. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better, because Drain Punch still does about 40% or so to offensive Jirachi, I think. Let me double check. We're jolly. Drain Punch to a Jirachi. Yeah, if he's offensive, like without a Choice Scarf, Drain Punch still does 61 to 72, and that instantly puts him in range of Darmanitan's Flare Blitz, even if he is Akaberry. So I do think I need to speed tie with that. I think that's a smarter bring. But because I do have Darmanitan to always pressure it, I do have this to be able to nuke it if he's like a fatter set. I think I can kind of sort of lack on Flamethrower with Dragonite, especially because I do also have my Linoone. I'm bringing a Belly Drum Linoone this week. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to run max speed on this as well. We'll do this. Perfect. Okay, that's a little bit better. Originally, I didn't care about max speed because I thought that there was no way he would bring max speed Jirachi, but you never know. It's playoffs. I want to make sure that I have everything covered and I have every possibility filled out. So this Linoone, it's a really, really big win con. I do expect him to prep for it, so that means I do expect Haze on my Lodic, I expect Whirlwind on Gligar, I expect Fortress to come just for that reason. But even with that, he can't really stop it if I get them weakened, because so with this attack investment at +6, Belly Drum guaranteed does like 85% minimum to Fizz Def my Lodic, so it does a lot of damage. So because of that, it does so much damage. If I get off like a Thunderbolt on it, that means that Return has the potential to 2-hit KO, and if I'm running Seed Bomb, I'm pretty sure Seed Bomb guaranteed 2-hit KOs from about 50%, so he has to definitely watch out for that. And if I Belly Drum up and he clicks, let's say I don't Belly Drum up and he clicks Haze and I click Return as he does not recover or something along those lines, then I can just take him out. Or let's say I Belly Drum up as he recovers, then I just take him out and then I can proceed to sweep through his entire team. So this Linoone set is very, very good. I needed the extreme speed priority because of, again, his more frail sweepers like Swellow, Weavile, and then specifically Rotom, because I do want to be able to take that thing out without having to worry about it being Scarf. So I do have 2 extreme speed users and a Bullet Punch user. My priority is going to put a lot of pressure on his team this game. Another really big thing that this Linoone does for my team is that it prevents me from being swept by Mimikyu. That is the biggest thing. As long as Mimikyu has its disguise broken, and then I'm able to get off one hit, just one hit, whether it's with my Medicham's Bullet Punch, whether it's with my Darmanitan's U-Turn, whether it's with Dragonite's Thunderbolt, or anything that these two mons could have, like, quite literally anything, Shadow Claw will be able to kill it with this physical attack investment. And that's what's important, especially if I get up the hazards that I want to get at this game, because hazards are going to be a very key part of this game as well. So that's why I do have Shadow Claw. And having this safety net, so originally I didn't have Linoone on the team, but then I started thinking about it and I was like, man, if Mimikyu sets up, I can't beat it, especially if he brings like a Wood Hammer set. Then even then I can't have my, what's it called? The Thing, Rhyperior. I can't even have that take a hit at +2 because Wood Hammer is so strong. So I kind of sort of needed to have this safety net of Linoone to prevent me from being swept by SD Mimikyu with priority Shadow Sneak. So that's a really big reason why I have Linoone. And you know, if he doesn't have, like, say he doesn't bring Gligar and I get rid of my Lodic, I can set up on pretty much anything on his team because I can take any one hit, get the 50% back with the Eye of Papa Berry, Belly Drum up, and then I'm in a really, really good position to do a lot of damage to his entire team. So ultimately, it's going to be very hard for him to prevent me from setting up with Linoone if I get my Lodic taken out. And as you can see, I'm going to be putting a lot of pressure on my Lodic. I'm expecting that thing to come in almost every other turn with these 4 offensive mons. And if I can get that happening, I will be happier than a pig in mud. So then, of course, I needed to bring Choice Scarf Darm this game. He does have a little bit of a problem with dealing with fire types. Like, if you just look, he has 1 weakness, 1 resist, and then not anything, nothing, a resist, nothing, kind of a resist, but with rocks, it's not really a resist, and then 3 things that just get nuked by Flare Blitz. So he has a little bit of a trouble with it. He can't switch into it too well neutrally, but he can resist it by 2 things. So again, if I'm able to force in the Milotic, get off a U-turn, I can drop in Dragonite, force him to go for Ice Beam, Thunderbolt will 2-hit KO him. Originally I did have Gigavolt Havoc on here actually, however, a Gigavolt Havoc into Thunderbolt does not kill my Milotic. That's how fat that stupid thing is. Another reason why I really wanted Darmanitan is just because I need to have this Choice Scarfed Rock Slide. I need it. If he is Choice Scarfed Rotom for whatever reason, I need to be able to make sure that I have this little safety net to be able to just nuke it after it takes rocks. So I definitely needed that. And then Earthquake is there. Why did I have Earthquake? Just for like Shukaberry Jirachi, or for Akaberry Jirachi, I believe. Actually, hold on. I want to see something. How much does Darmanitan Choice Scarf 50 versus Jirachi? We'll say he's a especially defensive set. So with the Akaberry and max HP, max defense, hold. Flareblitz is still doing 50% minimum. That is stupid, and this thing can't do a whole lot to me back outside of a Psychic move, but even then, I can live one. So this thing is just so good at pressuring his team. It forces in a lot of things, and I'm just going to spoil this now. I have spikes on Qwilfish and I have rocks on my Empoleon. If I'm able to get up 3 layers of spikes and if I'm able to get up my layer of stealth rocks, then I should be good to go, because everything will be taking 37% minimum whenever they switch in. That turns everything into a 2-hit KO that I have. Quite literally everything that I have on this team, it turns it into a 2-hit KO. He can't switch in for free on anything. Even my Milotic I don't think can. I mean, it struggles. It struggles to switch into a Flare Blitz. It struggles, but yeah, I really like Darmanitan this game. I'm hoping that the pivoting that Darmanitan will offer me is really nice. Since I spoiled that I have spikes on Qwilfish, I'm going to talk about this next. So this is going to be my designated lead with Taunt, Spikes, Pain Split, and Scald. So I have Taunt there because normally if he brings Fortress, he leads off with it to get up rocks. I fully expect him to attempt to do that to me this game because I do have my Darmanitan, I also have my Dragonite. There's a chance that he brings Mental Herb on his Fortress. However, if he does that, then he's going to be limited to just rocks, and as you can see, I do have Defog on my Empoleon. So I'm not super worried about that. As long as I can prevent him from hazard stacking me completely before I get in my offensive threats, I'm fine with it. And if I can pop the Mental Herb early, defog away all of his hazards, then I can start hazard stacking myself, taunt him again, and then he can't stack up on me. So this thing can pretty well win the hazard war against him, which is really nice. But again, spikes, they're going to win me this game. Pain Split, so ultimately I decided to go with Pain Split Rocky Helmet over Black Sludge Ice Beam because Scald does enough to Gligar that if I get the burn and I taunt him, prevent him from being able to roost up, that I'm able to beat it 1v1 anyway, so I'm not super worried about Ice Beam. And then Pain Split allows me to actually heal up on things like Milotic, things like Rotom Heat, if I'm able to outspeed that, if he's like a really fat variation of Rotom Heat. I'm trying to think of what his other walls are without looking. Girder, that's a really big one. I'm able to weaken that pretty well. I'm trying to think, what else was it? Fortress, Meganium, things like that. I'm able to heal up on them pretty well. And because I do have such a low HP stat, if he sends in one of his more weak mons to be able to take a Scald and I Pain Split on that, I'm going to be getting a good amount back because I do only have base 65 HP. I'm pretty happy with this set, honestly, because I think it'll do well. Now, this is also my designated switch into Weavile. I don't have a good switch into Weavile on my team in general, but this is the best I have. I can get off and Intimidate, he'll knock off, he'll take Rocky Helmet, potentially take a Life Orb unless he's Z-move. And then after that, he can't kill me with anything after that, unless it's like, I don't think it gets Psychic. And then like Shattered Psyche. I don't think it does. I don't know, I'll have to look that up. But it can't really do much to me, and then I'm able to get up a layer of Spike on whatever it is, and that makes me happy. There's also a chance that he doesn't bring Fortress at all, because I do have some very good fire coverage on this team. Like, if you look at it, I have Fire Punch, Flamethrower. I gotta have Hidden Power Fire. Flamethrower, Fire Punch. I gotta have Hidden Power Fire, Flamethrower. These can't do much, but then I have Flare Blitz. So I have some really good fire coverage on my team. So he might struggle to figure out a way to bring it, but he also might. So if he doesn't bring Fortress, this is still my designated lead, and I'm getting up at least 2 layers of spikes like the first 2 turns. That's all I care about. Then, of course, I do have this. I have Defog, Roar, Scald, and Stealth Rock. I'm actually going to change... Oh, I want to change this to a Conberry. I really, really want to change this to Wakanberry. Because if he's Calm Mind Jirachi... I need the lefties to be able to be to not be 3-hit KO'd by Spec Swallow. That's why I have lefties right now. But if he is Calm Mind Jirachi, I do still think that I have ways of dealing with it. Between my Darmanitan and my Mega Medicham, I definitely think that I still have ways of dealing with it. I'm going to leave on lefties, but I have Defog, Roar, Scald, and Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock is there just because, as I said, Stealth Rock is going to be crucial this game. Roar is there for any of his setup sweepers. If he is, well, not really his setup sweepers, but more so to phase around and get some more chip damage off on things with hazards. But again, Calm Mind Jirachi, if he decides that he thinks he can set up in front of this and I can roar it, or he sets up 1 Calm Mind and then I switch in this, I can take a +2 Thunderbolt, I believe, if he's completely uninvested, click Roar, get it out of my face, and then I don't have to take some spikes and Stealth Rocks whenever it comes back in, instantly putting it in range of Flare Blitz from my Darmanitan. Scald is also really good coverage versus his team. Like, he doesn't have a very good Scald switch in outside of Milotic, but even then, if he switches in Milotic, I don't really care because I'm getting off some good chip damage on it, and that's all that really matters to me. And he can't stay in on this thing forever. Like, he'll be able to recover up on it, but if I just roar him out, I'm safe anyway. So this is the team that I'm going to be bringing against Professor FX and the Mewtwolous FC. I'm super nervous for this game because I really want to win. I want to make it to round 2 of playoffs, and I really want to get revenge for the first game that we played because he kind of sort of beat the crap out of me. But yeah, with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all again so much for watching, and make sure to leave a like and a comment down below letting me know what you think of the team. But yeah, I'm so nervous. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.